Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. We're going to talk about rambling today. I'm sure you've been there. You've been explaining something, and the people you're talking to, the audience, maybe the person across the table from you, their eyes start to glaze over. They start looking at their phone, looking at their watch. Maybe they're honest enough to say, "Hey, I don't know what you're talking about. You're rambling." We've lost them, right? We all know that feeling. Maybe some of you have that problem a lot. You know the info, you know what you want to talk about, but it's not coming out, it's not landing, it's not hitting. And this matters because people won't want to listen to you, but more importantly, in a kind of a business context or a personal context, you don't want that to happen. That might not be a big deal over a cup of coffee with your buddy, but when you're at work, when you're having an important conversation with a family member or someone at church, whatever it is, you don't want them to lose track of what you're saying. You don't want them to stop listening. So they will. I mean, it's human nature. If they lose traction on what you're explaining, they're done. They're gone. And so what ends up happening is people will stop listening to you. Your ideas then will be ignored. Very good ideas, maybe very excellent ideas, but they're not being communicated. And so they don't count. Doesn't matter. And so that also then takes your credibility. No one wants to listen to you. No one has any confidence that you will be able to explain anything or lead anything. And the problem is you're not wrong. You're just unclear in what in what it is you're saying and in how you're presenting this information. And I've seen this over and over and over. I teach speech for a living. I have been in ministry. I have been in the professional world, and I've been in meetings. We have meetings at school all the time. And listen, people are rambling all the time. It's one of the big things that I hit my students up on. So I teach college communications classes, and you know what? They ramble. Smart people ramble. People who don't know anything ramble. I think they ramble for different reasons. So let's just take it as we're smart people and still we ramble. Why does that happen? I've done it myself. But when you see the problem, like a lot of things, it's not really that hard to fix once you understand what's happening. So, before we get to the fix, let's talk about what people often do to fix it because it's not the thing that actually works. So, one thing that often happens is people will think, well, maybe I need to explain better. Well, maybe there's some truth to that, but I need to explain better. I need to add detail. I need more examples. I need to just say more. I need to talk longer. I need to use more time. And that just makes it worse. The other thing that people often do when they're not coming across, when they're having some challenges in communicating what they want to say, is they'll start thinking in terms of the performance. They'll start looking at it like, well, I need to stand up straighter and breathe better and do something with my hands and that kind of thing. And that's not the answer either. See, the real problem is not that there's too little information. It's not that you don't know what you're talking about. You do. That's why you're the person in that conversation. That's why you're the person maybe doing that presentation, because you're the person who does, in fact, know the stuff. So the problem isn't you have too little information. The problem is you don't have a direction to point that information in. In other words, you don't have a real point. Maybe you have all these ideas, you have this list of things, but a list of ideas, isn't really a message. I get it. A lot of times here on YouTube, you'll see these listicles and they do have a point, but they are also all pointed toward a certain direction. They have a logic to them, and there's been some thought given to those things before they're put out there. It's not just this random sort of info dump, which is kind of it ends up what being what happens when we don't know exactly what our point is. So here's what you really need to think about. Here's really how you start to fix this problem, and uh, it takes a couple of tries probably for you to get it right, but it really doesn't take a lot of time. This is where everything changes. You don't need to say everything. You need to figure out what the one thing is that you need to make clear, and then everything else has to lead to that. Everything else you say has to support that one thing. So the one simple rule on how to stop rambling is to decide the point first. Now, this is harder when you're in the middle of a conversation or when someone asks you a question at a meeting. It's much easier when you have time to prepare, time to do your thinking and put your thoughts down. That's good. But basically, you need to stop and decide what your point is. It's like that question earlier. Are you going to answer the question or not? You don't think about the topic, the subject that's there. You need to come up with the thesis, the one clear sentence of what is this message about? What is it that I'm trying to communicate? What is the thing that the audience needs to know? And then how do I support that? That's what everything else should be. So again, another example, uh, someone comes in, hey, we're thinking about changing the schedule because some people are always late, and the timing's not great for these other people, and yada yada. Instead of just saying, look, we're changing the meeting to 9:15 because it's better for everyone, or because that's when the boss said it has to happen. That's clear. That's the point. And I don't need to say all that other stuff. And so here's what you do. Here's the action you take, the step you take. Again, one simple rule is decide the point first. So take 10 seconds. Maybe you don't have 10 seconds, maybe you have 5 seconds. You have a few seconds. Like I said, this can be a little bit harder when you're in the middle of a meeting and someone raises their hand and asks you that question. Just stop, pause for a few seconds, and think, what is the most specific thing that I can say about this? How can I answer their question and their question only? So take 10 seconds to come up with that sentence, that thesis, that idea. See, if you don't do that, remember what's going to happen is you will end up just repeating yourself while you're thinking, and you just kind of feel your way around and you're thinking and they're listening to your thinking and you're not getting to the point. You will lose your audience. They will get bored, they will get tired, they will move on to other things. And again, if you don't make the change here, if you don't stop and get to the point or make sure you know what the point is before you start speaking, you've lost your people and your ideas have gone nowhere, and that is going to potentially negatively impact your career, your relationships, your ability to pass on wisdom and influence the good people that you are around. All of those things could be problems if you continue to ramble. But if you do make the change, if you do take a few seconds and stop and think, okay, what exactly is it that I want to say, and then start talking, then what you get is clarity. And that's pretty instantaneous clarity. You get the fact that people are tracking what you're saying. Again, the question comes up, why did you choose option B? The answer is, we chose option B because dot dot dot. That's it. People track that. People got it. Great. They write it down. They make a mental note. Maybe they have more questions. You do the same thing. Take a couple seconds, 10 seconds, or you might, you know what? You might have to say, look, I don't know the answer to that right now. Give me a minute. Don't be afraid to do that. They would rather wait a minute or have someone else talk for a minute and then come back to you, and then you can give a clear answer because you know what that one thing is that you want to say. So you'll get instant clarity, you get people tracking you, your words will matter, your ideas and your opinions and your thoughts will matter. See, rambling is not a speaking problem, it is a thinking issue, right? It's a thinking problem. So you need to decide the point before you start talking. Hey, look, thanks for watching. I've got a free download. If you look it up down at the description below, you can click on it. You can download a small little booklet that I created. It's called Track, and it is a framework that helps you think through this stuff. There's a lot more to it. It's TRACK, it's thesis, research, audience, craft, and know, and it's explained in the little pamphlet that you will get an immediate download. You put in your email, you get a download. I appreciate you. Please keep watching. Like this video if it was helpful. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see and hear some more of this kind of information. We'll be doing some deep dives, and we'll be looking at some other important communicators from history. I got all Winston Churchill on the table behind me. We're going to talk a little bit about him in one of those videos. But again, appreciate you. I hope that you can take this message. I hope it got to the point and that you can use it. Thanks.